Milan, long time no see. So good to see you here. You've come a long way since we parted ways when I left Lego. So I know this guy. I have met this guy while I was working for Lego. He was an intern for Creator 3-in-1, and then he left, and then he came back, and he's doing an awesome job at Lego. And he just did the NASA Space Shuttle Discovery set. But I'll let him do the introductions. Milan, tell us a little bit about yourself and the set that you just designed.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for having me. It's super exciting to see you. Yeah, we used to sit opposite each other in Creator 3-in-1 and work together for, what, I don't know, 6 months to a year, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, old friends. So it's super good to see you. And yeah, thanks for the compliments. It's been good fun to design this set, and been good fun. I mean, since I've come back from being an intern, I've been given some fantastic opportunities by Lego. So yeah, with Pirates Barracuda Bay and Central Perk and the Discovery Shuttle. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and yeah, it's good to be here.
But then I can get on with the actual questions. So I asked some of my viewers and subscribers on Instagram and on YouTube to ask some questions, since we were being given this opportunity. So I will start off just by asking, so how long was the design process for this set? A lot of people have asked. And also, how did COVID impact the way that things are usually done within the design process of a Lego set?
Yeah, I mean, the design process on the shuttle was actually it's kind of an interesting one, because I wouldn't be surprised if it started actually when you were at Lego, Tiago. I think Mike Psyche built a concept model for this a fair few years ago. I don't know if it was 3 years ago.
I remember that, yeah.
Like that. So it's kind of been on the shelf in the office for a while. And I mean, yeah, as new elements get made in other projects and new color changes, the model gets kind of more and more refined, right? So you notice a part in the stock and you think, oh, that would be a really good engine, and then it's added to the model. So it's kind of been evolving for a few years, and then it I guess a couple of years ago we thought, you know, this is ready to be a set, but we kind of wanted to save it for the 40th anniversary. So it's kind of been in our back pocket for a year or so until we could get it ready for the anniversary this year. The design of this set did overlap with some of the lockdowns happening globally, but also here in Denmark. And yeah, I mean, Lego's obviously number one priority was to keep us all safe. So that did mean for a time we were kind of you know, isolated at home, working on models. So the design of this set was very interesting, a very different way of working, you know. So the kind of anecdote I keep telling people is that I had my we were allowed to take bricks home from work. Lego was able to provide us with a lot of great tools to work at home. But I remember having my brick list open from Brickset, and when I needed a part, I'd have to look through my old Lego sets and you know, go and find that 1990s adventurers set that had that part in it that I needed. So when we were making the concept models, you'd have a model that was full of like old grey and bits of finger hinges sticking out, and so it was a very interesting way to design a model. I would say it was kind of a little bit more like you might design something when you're a kid or a Lego fan, where you're kind of inspired by the bricks around you. So you have to make solutions with what you have, not necessarily, you know, you don't have the whole Lego system open to you. So it was kind of quite an interesting way to go about it. But then we kind of made a bit of a community as well with a lot of the other designers who were also in the same situation.
Of course.
So we had like a video chat that was kind of ongoing for a very long time, several weeks, where we would be helping each other out on the models. just over camera. So someone might build something and say, why don't you try it like this? And then you'd have to see if you have that piece and see if you can,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
okay.
It was crazy.
Awesome. So would you say that you built mostly digitally during the design of this set, or actually physical bricks? But from what you're telling me,
physical was the goal. I think to build a digital model is digital super useful when you're trying to build something that looks like a certain thing, to get the aesthetics right. Everything, a digital model is fantastic, but to be able to get the experience to be able to build something where you feel like it's nice when you're putting it together, physical is really the only way to do that. So mainly physical, but obviously I didn't have the bricks to build the whole model in one go all the time. So it was a lot of building parts of a model and then trying to assemble them in the computer and then trying to rebuild stuff. So a bit of a different process.
So some reference material that you used for this set, were there actual blueprints of the space shuttle involved, or did you look like to previous space shuttle Lego models? So how was it for you?
Yeah, I mean, we had blueprints for getting the scale of things. So I mean, we did this also when you were with us. It was to print out the model on like A0 or something paper and get it all to scale so that you could build the Lego model on top of the actual blueprints.
Yeah.
And that's a super good way of getting all the proportions right and being able to scale stuff. But in terms of reference, I mean, NASA were heavily involved and were a huge help.
Cool.
So I mean, there's their website, which they have an archive on their website that's just packed with photos of not only of with NASA you can get to the specific mission or specific shuttle and get really close up, nice high resolution details and stuff. So that was super useful. But also we had some technical advisors at NASA that were able to kind of guide us on making sure certain details were correct. So we can base stuff off blueprints and PDFs and things like this, but we also had technical advisors being able to say, in this specific mission, the chairs were arranged like this, or so that was a bit of a kind of kid dream come true, like being able to not only make Lego but have NASA like the instructors along the way. It was,
that's a huge one. That's super nice, because for me as a kid, my dream jobs were actually working for Lego or being an astronaut, and you kind of made both of them in just one set. So that's kind of amazing, man.
And when I was a kid, I spent a ton of time looking at the 2003 Lego shuttle, and I had the exact same thought that you're describing. I was fascinated by space travel and Lego, and like the Lego shuttle was like a representation of that, and I was obsessed with it as a kid. So it's kind of a little bit surreal to then be making one.
Okay, awesome. So I had this question of what set the scale to the model, because for me, when I was a designer, sometimes it was like a single element that actually helped shape the whole model. So was there something like that for you when designing the space shuttle?
There wasn't a specific element that set the scale. It was more, I mean, the concept model that Mike made originally, we were looking at whether it should be the fuselage of the craft, whether it should be 8 modules or 10 modules or 12 modules, and that was kind of going to set the scale. And going to 12 bricks wide was just enormous. It was way too big. And going to 8 bricks wide was kind of this weird in between, where it wasn't quite Saturn V scale, but it also was too small to get the details we wanted. So going 10 modules wide allowed us to get the Hubble telescope to be a super robust build in the middle, and then also allowed us to get all the details in that we wanted, because I think one of the main things that set the scale was kind of the storytelling aspect. So what we really wanted to do with this set was, instead of just creating a building experience in a model where at the end you'd have a beautiful display piece, we wanted to hopefully teach people a little bit about the shuttle as we went along. So
yeah.
by going bigger, we could put in lots of details, and there's also some references in the building instruction to different things, so that hopefully when people build it, they kind of I mean, it's this learning through play that Lego talks about, right? It's when you're building it and playing with it, hopefully you're learning a little bit about space travel, and hopefully that's going to inspire people to get more involved in that sort of thing.
Yeah, for me personally, when I actually built the set, I did have a lot of fun with that and learned a lot of new stuff about the NASA Space Shuttle that I didn't know before, because there were these like, did you know that something details along the BI, which were kind of cool. But there was also a little mistake over there that I pointed out on my review, which was like that it says that the Discovery flew 238 kilometers. Which should have been like 238 million kilometers. Yeah. So are we expected, maybe, if you can answer this, would that be a correction made to the BI in future batches of the set, or we can't even think of that?
That I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, I saw you point that out, and thanks for doing that. Yeah, it's frustrating when stuff like that slips through, and it's been raised. People are aware of it in Lego. I don't know what the process is from here on, but it's super nice to hear that you like that kind of journey through the BI. That's really good to hear.
Yeah, and even when I was building, like, I had no idea like the tail and the rudders. There were like actually opening rudders on the tail that acted as brakes. So that for me was kind of, whoa, this is cool. I'm learning. Even though I'm a huge space fan myself, I learned so much about the set while building it. And was it the same for you? Did you learn anything new while designing the set?
Yeah, I don't know if it was the same for you, but I kind of feel like most of my knowledge of the space shuttle comes from Lego space shuttles.
Awesome.
So yeah, I mean, the thing that I guess I learned from doing this was, I think the payload bay doors was something that was interesting to me. The concept model that we built, we actually had a function in there where you could trigger the function and the doors would open simultaneously. But that's actually not correct. The real shuttle opened one door at a time.
Oh, okay.
But obviously, in space, you want to do kind of as little movement as possible at once, so that you've only got one variable to control, right? So yeah, that was, I guess that's something I learned.
Awesome. There is a lot of olive green inside of the build, and I felt that maybe it's like Milan's favorite color, because designers nowadays like to put like really nice colors inside the structures. But then a lot of people were pointing out that maybe olive green might have another meaning to aerospace building crafts and all of that. So what is it? Is it your favorite color, your favorite Lego color, or is it actually has another meaning behind the use of olive green?
I've only seen one person get it right so far online.
Okay.
And I guess it's a little Easter egg. The reason is the airframe, the structure inside the real space shuttle is olive green.
Okay.
So it seemed like if we were going to fill it with different colors to make it easier to build, it would be nice to kind of reflect the real one. And also it's a color that's not super common. So for models like this, it's fun sometimes to be able to sneak in a few colors that people are maybe missing a little bit in their personal collection.
Oh, that's cool. So yeah, a lot of people pointed that out. For me, it was like, maybe it's his favorite color, because I used to put a lot of teal when I did the ship in a bottle, for instance, because teal just came back to the Lego palette of colors. So I tried to put as much teal, and I thought maybe, okay, olive green, maybe he's trying to do the same, but there's actually an explanation to it. It's not just your favorite color.
Usually I think I would normally go for kind of I enjoy doing basic Lego colors like red, blue, yellow.
Okay.
But yeah, the olive green was it snuck in for another reason.
Okay. So what is your favorite Lego color?
I always go back to regular blue, mainly because pretty much my entire brick bin when I was a kid, I think, was regular blue. I had a lot of the kind of original Technic sets with the Technic bricks. And yeah, most of my Lego bin was blue. So I don't know if that necessarily is my favorite color, or if I've just been conditioned to build in blue.
Yeah, I can feel you. So back to the set. So what was like the biggest design challenge for you, and the building technique that you would like to highlight about the Space Shuttle build?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge for sure was the landing gear. The reason being is that I guess when we go up to this size on a Lego model, we've got to make it super structural, right? So that it all stays together. And in the case of the Space Shuttle, we have a super dense, solid nose, which is just a massive pile of bricks. And then at the back, we have the same, just like this huge stack of bricks for the engine block and the wings. And then the whole middle section has to be totally hollow.
Yeah. I can see the challenge.
Yeah, so that was a nightmare. But then on top of that, to make it a little bit more difficult, we decided we wanted to make the front and the rear landing gear be coupled, so they would fold down together. So yeah, trying to get something that would run between the back of the model and the nose to trigger the landing gear that didn't compromise the structure was the thing that was certainly the most challenging. And we had a few different versions of how to trigger the landing gear with like worm gears and different ways of levers to pull the gear down. And in the end, we just went for as simple solution as possible and just had a button that fires all the springs at once, which allowed us to keep the walls of the payload bay solid, because before we were talking about having cross axle, like the 32 module cross axle running through it to drive the gears, and in the end we just thought we've got to keep this super simple if we want it to stay together when people pick it up in the middle. So and it was brilliantly done, if I can say so. And the function is like, if you don't build it, you don't know that's actually there, the trigger to it. So it's very good. I actually saw one review online where someone has built it and then not realized that the landing gear come down.
Oh wow!
So it's super hidden, and if you don't know it's there, there's no way of finding it. But I think it's also that kind of stuff. I don't know about you, but for me, that's the kind of stuff as a kid I got super excited about. Was kind of the magic of it. Like when you press something one place and somewhere else a function happens. That's what I always enjoyed as a kid. So
for sure, that was awesome. So personally, when I designed the set, the nose section wasn't like my favorite detail, and I told you this before. So was there ever a new element considered? Are you happy with it, or I don't know?
Yeah, I mean, we did consider a new element for the nose.
Okay.
It's actually quite an interesting reason why we didn't go that direction, because I had a version that was the cockpit was built sideways, and then the nose was like a cone, so that we could get a super smooth exterior. But when we built that, the model was so clean that it honestly didn't look like it was a challenge to build. It looked kind of down in age, like it looked simple. So we kind of went with the kind of sideways stacked slopes that are all offset half plates and things to make the build a little bit more challenging and to get some of the kind of Lego-ness in there, because with the new element on the door, it meant that the middle of the shuttle was just super sleek and clean. And we kind of felt we were missing some of that Lego feeling.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
I can get behind that. So speaking of the bay doors, did you try to build your way through the build doors until it was decided, oh, this isn't working, let's make a new element? Or how was it with the bay door?
Yeah, I mean, we had actually, I had a version that was built quite similar to your shuttle with bows that went the whole way along. And then we also had a version with the 4-module curved wall element.
Okay.
We're building that sideways to make the doors. We kind of run into two issues that kind of spurred us to create this new piece. And the first was that when you grab the shuttle to pick it up, you naturally grab the middle. And if I was to build anything sideways, you can crush it super easy. So this new piece just allowed us to get something that wasn't going to deform when someone grabbed it. But the main reason was that we really wanted to keep the scaling of everything super consistent. So normally I would say when we do any kind of Lego vehicle, but space shuttles in particular, the interior is sometimes sacrificed a little bit. So maybe the Hubble's normally a little bit smaller than it should be, or because you have to accommodate the size of the Lego bricks. But
of course,
here we wanted to keep the Hubble accurately scaled, but then having the Hubble and then the Canadarm and all the communications antenna folded inside the bay meant that when that door was closed, it had to be wafer thin in order to be able to shut properly. So the new element was designed so that we could not only get the Hubble in, but also get the arm to lie down next to it and still fit within the thickness of the walls.
Yeah, and it does the job perfectly. So I think it was like a good choice to do it.
Cool.
Even though I'm usually like against new elements, I'm like creator 3-in-1 minded. Let's brick build everything. But in this case, I think it was the right choice. And for me personally, I usually pick it up by the middle, like you just described, so I can see the issues of building it sideways. So good job.
Thank you. But the element's actually it's actually a pretty interesting one, because we put the cross axle in the end so that if people wanted to, they could power it to put a function in.
Okay.
And then it's actually been used in a lot of other sets, which I guess aren't out yet, but there's some really interesting ways of people using it in smaller sets to do different functions and things like that. So it's hopefully it's got a bit of a life ahead of it. It's quite an interesting piece, and it matches up with the bow that's in the same family.
Yeah. So looking forward to see some of those sets as well, that the element is going to be used. So the fact that it also has the cross axle was in that point in time where you guys were thinking about also having the function to opening the bay doors?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the reason why that disappeared was partly due to the kind of accuracy, but also at one time the engine block at the back of the shuttle had the function for the landing gear, the doors, and actually multiple functions for the elevons. And it was just so complicated that we thought, this is, the end product's great, but it's not going to be fun to build. So we had to kind of remove a couple of bits to get it more accurate to the real shuttle, but also to make it so that when you're building it, you didn't go crazy.
Yeah, no, I kind of want to see that concept model with all those functions. That must be super crazy. Cool. So speaking of the Hubble telescope, were you trying to set any record in the amount of metallic silver elements in a Lego set?
We weren't trying to set a record, but I think we might have.
Yeah, I think you guys have.
Yeah, you can blame Nico for that. That was Nick Vass. There was a point in which the telescope was grey, which is, I guess, how we normally would represent something like that. It just didn't have the same gravitas when you opened those the payload bay doors, and then there was the grey telescope in there. It really needed something else. So we pushed really hard to get the silver, and I think we were fortunate actually in that. I guess normally when you're designing something that should be silver, if it's made up of lots of different pieces, that can be a challenge to get all of them, to the right quality level and be approved properly. But with this, because the telescope is essentially a cylinder, we were able to use that 2x2 bow. I don't know how many times, like 70 times or something.
62 times.
62. Okay, a bit less. But we were able to use that so many times that it was more achievable to be able to get the whole thing.
And it looks amazing. In its own right, it could probably be just like a standalone set, and I would love it, and people would buy it just for the pieces alone, for the metallic silver alone.
When we were working on it, we kind of were, at least in my head, we were thinking the shuttle could be kind of displayed at home, and then I would have the Hubble on my desk at work. So you can kind of have a little bit of the Lego space stuff with you in both locations.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you ever consider any other things besides the Hubble? And when in the design process was it decided to put either the Hubble or something else inside the Space Shuttle?
Yeah. So I don't know if you remember Mike's first model from when you were in the office, but he actually had a Hubble telescope in that model.
Okay.
But it was the new updated version of the Hubble with like the new solar panels and stuff like this. So when we were first working on finalizing this model, there was a bit of discussion about which shuttle it should be. Should we pick a specific shuttle or a mission, or should it kind of be generic? And we kind of toyed with the idea initially of doing multiple shuttles, and then we also toyed with the idea of doing specifically Endeavour, so that we could recreate the mission that serviced Hubble when they found that the lens was faulty. The reason we moved away from that was that the icon of the Hubble was so strong, and it was also launching in April, which happens to be also the anniversary of the Hubble launch. So it seemed like the opportunities for storytelling were much greater if we were to focus in on one mission and show the whole process. And NASA were super supportive of that idea. They were really keen on, if we picked a specific mission, they could give us all of the details to make sure that it was as accurate as possible to that mission. Whereas if it was a bit more generic, then maybe there would be anachronisms and things that were slightly wrong. So, for example, I've seen a few people ask, "Where's the blue NASA logo on the shuttle?"
Okay.
And this is actually something that came from NASA, was that this particular shuttle on this particular mission was in a time where NASA was not using that logo on the shuttles and was using a different design of logo, this worm logo. And so that's what's on the model. So there's little subtleties that are very specific to that mission that we wouldn't have got if we had kind of done a generic shuttle, if there's such a thing.
Yeah. Well, good thing that also you got to work closely with NASA to make the most accurate model possible. And now, like, the super nerdy fans of NASA can't really point out mistakes. Oh, it was supposed to have something like this or like this. So
I've seen one mistake pointed out, which is totally fair. Dr. Kathy Sullivan, who's actually on the shuttle, pointed out that there's what was it? It's like a grappling fixture on the back of the Hubble, which wasn't there when they deployed it, and it was added on afterwards. So one inaccuracy that we missed, but I am more than happy for her to point stuff out.
For an actual astronaut to actually work with the thing to point it out. So fair. I think it's only fair.
Yeah, it's only fair, for sure.
Yeah. So speaking of astronauts, so previous Lego NASA space themed sets have had like microfigures, nanofigures, or minifigures. So why don't we get that in the Space Shuttle?
The reasoning behind it is it's about the crew cabin, essentially. So I think I mentioned earlier that at least my basic impression of the Space Shuttle comes from my knowledge of the Lego models.
Yeah.
So I kind of always used to assume that the Space Shuttle was in scale to a minifigure. And then seeing it in real life, seeing a real Space Shuttle, you suddenly realize how enormous it is. So it was a decision in order to communicate the size of the shuttle in comparison to a real person. And also to allow us to get as much detail in the cabin as possible. The cabin's the bit that is my favorite part of the model.
Okay.
Often it's kind of it's overlooked because you're kind of looking at the vehicle as, you know, this enormous rocket full of fuel that's got fire coming out the back, and suddenly it's super impressive and exciting. But the human part of it is so important, and for me, it's that, you know, the Hubble was put up there for humanity to learn more about our place in the universe, and the idea that there were human beings in that shuttle that left planet Earth, you know, for me that's the most exciting thing. And so the crew cabin was done as detailed as possible in order to kind of capture a bit of that humanity. And we looked at what it would take to scale the shuttle to make a minifigure accurate size one, and it's enormous. So, so that's the reason we went for this. And a smaller one that would be micro scale and be kind of more similar, I guess, to the Saturn V. When we looked at that, we built a kind of rough model for that as well, and we couldn't get the level of detail that we would want in order to tell some of the stories that we told in this one.
Have you considered making like the fuel tanks and as well in the set, or was it scrapped?
I built them.
Okay.
They're huge.
Yes.
They're huge, and it looks amazing, but it's super boring because you're building a tube that's just, you know, this round by 1 meter high, and it wasn't the most fun thing to build. So we thought, you know, that's the amount of cost that would add to people. It's not worth it. So we wanted to focus on telling the story of the Hubble and the launch and the kind of human element, and kind of just focus on that and not get distracted by the kind of,
for sure. As I said in my review, I think that was also the right decision, because those things would be like too big and too boring to build. And for me, when I get to a Lego set that's super boring and super repetitive to build, I'm not like most keen on doing it. So
but hopefully people are gonna make those.
For sure.
I would love to see. My dream now is I would like to see a fan convention, all the shuttles lined up with external fuel tanks and people modifying them so that they're, you know, all the correct details on all the shuttles. So
I think we will see that for sure. So did you get nervous when making this set and making something that's so iconic to the world in general?
It's interesting that, because I don't know if it was partly to do with the kind of pandemic situation and the world suddenly felt a lot smaller. But initially, no. Like I was kind of just enjoying it exactly how I imagined it would be when I was a kid. You know, I looked at the 2003 Discovery Shuttle in the catalog for so long, and I could never ever get it. But I tried to build my own so many times, and it always looked awful, and I never had the pieces. So I was just kind of enjoying the process of being able to do the thing that I wanted to do as a kid, which I think is a healthy way to go about it. Having said that, as soon as you kind of finished the model, and then you realize this is going out to, you know, thousands of people, and you know, these magazines are interested and this museum is interested, then suddenly it becomes a little bit terrifying. So I mean, it's interesting. Like now I feel incredibly humbled and a healthy amount of nervousness in having done it, and I can only hope that people are happy with it and enjoy it, and enjoy building it and playing with it as much as I did. But at the time it was kind of just a love for the subject matter and pure excitement with actually being able to talk to NASA. And Did
you get to go to Florida to actually see the space shuttle?
No, we didn't. Maybe in the future. But, no, I saw one a few years ago. I went, but not as
as a designer.
So I had an appreciation of it, but had not was not able to go and look at it. whilst designing this set, but that's why it was so great to have NASA on board, so that they could just give us all of the details we needed.
Super cool. Any Easter eggs?
Any Easter eggs? The olive green is a great Easter egg, which is now exclusive to you. There's also the point in which the stand connects.
Yeah.
Is a black and white little symbol in the middle. It's like corner plates that are black and white, and that is an Easter egg that represents the center of mass of the model. So that's kind of a nice little reference. In the nose, there's the classic space slope. For no other reason than it's a space set and it's Lego, therefore it needs to have,
of course, classic space slope. Awesome, Milan. Thank you so much. I think we are running out of time, but it was great. Now I will do like a quick round of questions people have asked. So it's like a very short answer, and let's see what you have to say. So do you want to be a YouTuber like Tiago?
Tiago is doing such a good job that I'm not going to enter that space.
Awesome. What do you like to build the most?
Aircraft.
Do you build at home?
I build old Lego sets at home from 80s and 90s, my childhood, but less new Lego sets, mainly old stuff.
Favorite memory of NASA?
I'm always going to go back to my the looking at the
catalog
in the catalog when I was a kid.
Awesome. Would you ever go to space?
Would I ever go to space? I would love to go to space, perhaps when it's a little safer.
Yes, true power of Lego.
That's not a short answer, is it?
No.
Okay, we're gonna run over and it's fine. True power of Lego. I think for me, the true power of Lego is perfectly shown in the collaboration with NASA, which is the ability to learn stuff whilst you're playing. I would hope that the kind of the play whilst you're building something like a Lego Space Shuttle inspires people to get more involved with engineering and design, and also inspires people to consider the impact and the possibilities of what NASA's doing with the space program, and hopefully get more involved in that. I think the partnership for me really demonstrates the best of human curiosity and learning. So that's what Lego's about to me.
Awesome. Super awesome. Just the final question. There's always a lot of people asking in the channel, how do you become a Lego designer? And while I don't make a video about it, would you want to tell people your number one tip to becoming a Lego designer?
My number one tip to becoming a Lego designer is to just build and build and build and really enjoy and love building. It doesn't matter what it is you're building. The act of building should inspire a curiosity in you that just makes you want to keep building and keep finding out new things. And it's that journey of just learning stuff all the time is the best way to become a Lego designer, I would say. But you should totally do a video on that.
Yeah. I'm planning on it. I have a script already, so it will come eventually.
Great.
Milan, thank you so much. This was super fun. I hope we get to do this again in the future for an upcoming Lego set that you might be working on. Are you're still in Creator Expert, right? I guess that's not the team anymore, but
yeah, I'm still in the adults focus team. Yeah.
Okay, so let's hope that we get to do this again. It was super fun. Thank you so much for taking the time.
No worries. It's a pleasure to see you again. And we love watching your videos as well. So it's super exciting to be. Am I the first designer other than you that's on your channel?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is like the first interview ever that I did. So.
Okay, that's a huge honor for me. So.
Oh please,
yeah, we love watching these videos and yeah, so it's a pleasure to be here. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Milan. So I hope you guys enjoyed this interview, and don't forget, build something fun today.